Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
And welcome to 757 Sports Talk on Cover Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe wherever you are. Interact with us as we greet you on this weekend of Super Bowl 60. Matt Hatfield here with you. The coach, Ed Young, will join us a little bit later on in the program as he is in the midst of basketball practice. It's that time of year, so you can understand that. We do have some special guests that will be joining us a little bit later on here in the show. We've got Charean Williams of NBC Sports and Pro Football Talk to preview Seahawks and Patriots for us. First time they've met on the gridiron in this matchup in 11 years. We've also got coming up in a little bit Larry Rubama from the The-Virginian Pilot, Daily Press, and 757 teams to talk everything on the local front and beyond with us. But a lot to go over with. Of course, the sad news yesterday, the passing of the guy that has the most touchdowns in Washington football history, Sonny Jurgensen. He was a great one well before a lot of the audience that's out there probably got a chance to watch him play. Still holds that record for TD passes. Only got to throw more than 30, which is hard to believe with all the quarterbacks that have come through over the years. The Joe Theismanns, the Doug Williamses, even the Brad Johnsons and Jane Daniels, who you thought might threaten that record in his debut. So rest in peace to one of the all-time greats who could really sling it. Back when he got a chance to play for the Eagles, then played for Vince Lombardi. On the coaching front locally here, we can tell you about Alonzo Coley, new head football coach of the Phoebus Phantoms. We're going to actually be joined by Alonzo Coley probably next week on the show. He couldn't make it work for today, but Alonzo is the new head man of the Phantoms of Phoebus High. Takes over for Jeremy Blunt. Of course, Alonzo coached most recently at Woodside High School in Newport News. Also coached at Kickotan, but he's now the new head man of the Phantoms of Phoebus High. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out as Phoebus. They've been a factory. It's amazing their string of success, all the winning seasons they've had, championship pursuits. So Alonzo now at the helm over there in Ireland Street. He also was a part of a number of state championships over there at Phoebus as an assistant coach with the late, great Bill D and Stan Sexton, as well as Jeremy Blunt. So it'll be interesting to see how that all works out in the PD, where Phoebus slightly fell off this past year, didn't fall off a ton, but we know that they're always in the limelight, it feels like, when it comes to their football program and competing for the championship. We are getting hot and heavy now with high school basketball as the playoffs are just a couple weeks away. Regionals are set to start in 13 days, as hard as it is to believe that the playoffs are going to begin literally that soon. 13 days. There are a couple of showcases going on. One at Petersburg High School today. It's the Lawson Classic. Headline matchup for that. I thought I had the graphic on me. I could put it on the screen, but I don't. But the headline matchup, the nightcap, the host school Petersburg taking on Patriot, who we've got in the top 5 in our Class 6 rankings on Virginia Preps, only behind Lansdowne and Westfield, in fact. And then you have the War Classic over at Nansemond River High School in Suffolk. Those matchups involving Norview Peninsula Catholic. You've got, I think it's J.R. Tucker in Western Branch. Maury is playing Princess Anne. And the nightcap around 7 or 7:30, I know, is the host school, Nansemond River, taking on Denby. So a lot going on there. And then on the basketball coaching front, we mentioned about Alonzo Coley in the Peninsula District for football making a move. We can tell you, we got the word last night. Good friend of the show. We've had on before. I'm sure we will have him on again, but that is Craig Brehan of Bethel informing us that he is going to retire after this season. So Craig Brehan has been doing it for an awful long time at the helm of the Bethel Bruins. This is going to be it for him. In fact, I think it's 30-plus seasons he's been at Bethel. Had a 1-year hiatus, dean of students as well. He's going to remain at dean of students after one more year. But we wish him all the best, as this is his swan song at the helm of the Bethel Bruins there in the Peninsula District. So this is his final time on the sidelines this year as they're going to be getting one of the final seeds in Region 5B. But a lot happening out there. We want to get your Super Bowl picks. Let us know who you got in the big game for Sunday, Seattle and the New England Patriots. Let us know your pick, and we will pop you up on the screen during the show here and let you have a chance to talk about all that with us. But we will take a quick timeout, and when we come back here on 757 Sports Talk, we've got Larry Rubama from the Virginian Pilot, Daily Press, and 757 teams to chat everything on the local sports front with all of you out there. We'll specialize on high school hoops, but Larry also dabbles in some other things, including the big news last week, Keyshawn Davis getting the win on the boxing side of things, and also get his thoughts on signing day just wrapped up here for high school football. A lot of athletes across the 757. It is 757 Sports Talk. You can always like, share, and subscribe and interact with us here on Cova Sports TV, and we'll be back in just a moment. Stay tuned.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
What is more? Is it more reps, more strength, more stamina? We say it's all of that, but it's greater than just what's in the mirror. It's about improving your mental and physical health. More is a feeling of achievement, fulfillment, confidence. It's looking better, feeling better, being better, and it's our mission to get you there. Because here, you are more. One Life Fitness.
Portco is your local nonprofit organization dedicated to economic empowerment through employment for people with disabilities. We focus on abilities, not limitations, providing on-the-job vocational support. Find your pathway to employment. Contact us or learn more at portco.org.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
It's 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield and the one and only Coach Ed Young. Every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. on Cova Sports TV. From high school football and basketball to the NFL, MLB, college sports, and the NBA, if it's making headlines, they are breaking it down. Bold takes, big-time guests, and a few laughs, especially at the expense of that basketball coach, Ed Young. Catch it on Cox TV and your view, and don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube at Cova Sports TV.
Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here is Matt Hatfield.
And we welcome you back to 757 Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe, and interact with us here on Cova Sports TV, wherever you are, as we have a special guest with us. He is a longtime sports writer for the Virginian Pilot, Daily Press, 757 teams. You can find it online at pilotonline.com. As well, our good pal, Larry Rubama. Happy New Year, my friend. I guess we got to still say Happy New Year. It's February now. But how's things?
Happy New Year to you too, man. Happy New Year to you. How you doing, man?
We're doing well, other than the sore throat, having to use the lozenge, get through this time of year. I've got a no to you women's basketball game later today. Ed's in practice, so we moved the start time of the show that's usually around 10 o'clock up today. But a lot's happening in the world of sports. I want to get your take on signing day and high school hoops and Keyshawn Davis and all the great content you guys have in the Pilot, Daily Press, and online. But I want to start with first, because I know this is near and dear to your heart. You've been a sports columnist or writer here for a quarter century, if not longer. And oh, by the way, our Lady Monarchs take on Ohio U, your school today, Ohio University, the Bobcats. But what's happened here, and it's been national news with the Washington Post cutting out its sports department. I know your colleague, your editor, Jamie Frankenberry, did a really good piece talking about just, what the Washington Post, the sports sections meant there. But what's gone through your mind the last couple of days? I know it's tough to see people. We've had Chuck Culpepper on the show before as a guest, but this is always a harsh reality and tough these days to see this happen.
Yeah, it's real tough. I grew up in the D.C. area, and so the Washington Post is what got me into becoming a sports writer. And to imagine that it's gone is hard to believe. I mean, I can remember Since 1978, 79, I used to read the Washington Post every single day. And what I really feel bad about is the high school content, what they built there. And the they had their all Met teams, which was an honor for everybody. I mean, I was fortunate enough to not only be written about in the Washington Post, but also wrote a story in the Washington Post. And that was my highlight of my career. The fact that I was I wrote about the I forgot the brothers' names now, but the track guys, the track brothers, and so to now have that, man, I don't know what the area is going to do. I mean, there's some other sites that are out there, but there's nothing like the Washington Post. I mean, you say your name was in the Washington Post, it meant something, and now all these other athletes coming up won't have that privilege to be in the Washington Post. And just the content they gave you, it wasn't just about game scores and highlights, but it was about some of their in-depth stories as well. So I mean, it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe.
Yeah, I mean, we see cuts happen all the time, and you've been in this industry here now for so long, and you guys have withstood the test of time, whether at the Pilot. It's a credit to you and your staff, your colleagues, and the people behind the scenes that put in a lot of the blood, sweat, and tears and the thankless hours that go into it, because you hear more often the criticism, why you didn't write about so-and-so, as opposed to the praise of the in-depth stories you can do. We both know this in this profession. But as you watch this new media kind of unfold here and things, and it's different now with social media. I mean, there are some pluses, but there's also some cons, and you shake your head at times because everything's so instant now, and it's changing before our eyes every day, every second, every minute, isn't it?
Yeah, the saddest part to me is, you go to games now, and I can remember when it was just be me, you, and maybe people, maybe another person. Now you got about 20 people on the sidelines, and I'm wondering where's their content being published? Where's it? I don't see it online. You know what I mean? They never hit on the issues. It's all about highlights and stuff like that. And I think what's even worse though is, I got into this business to tell other people's stories, and that's one of the things. I don't see anybody talking about, okay, this player is a great player, but what's his background like? What's he about? Or the issues that come up. It's always about the highlights, and it's frustrating because it's like that's what people seem to be wanting. But I'm going to hold true until I can't do it anymore, to make sure I tell the story behind the story, let people know who these athletes are, the issues that are going on, the things that people are talking about, and it's not just about the games. It's unfortunate because it's everybody wants those quick hits, and that's not what it's about. It's about telling stories. Amen,
brother. That's absolutely right. And what's crazy is that, and you saying that, it's so true, because now, and this is a time of year where people, they're diehard Washington Nationals fans. They want their spring training content. The Commanders getting ready for the draft off season. All that goes now away with just AP wire. And there's nothing against the AP wire and things of that nature, but it's so hard to fathom what's happening. But again, we've done our very best to those that are affected by this, the ones that have been longtime sports writers that dedicated their entire professional careers with it. Let's now delve into, before we get to the high school basketball, let's start about.
Let me ask you, I want to add one more thing on that too. It's going to be interesting. So many times I don't think people respect what we do, and then when it's gone, what are they going to do? So I'm interested in a lot of these coaches who gave some of these reporters hard times now, when they don't have anywhere to put anything now. What are they going to say now?
And a lot of them have that social media space to put things, but that can be a as I always joke about the Rain Man comps people say with me, I said that can be a blessing and a curse. That can be a good thing and also a bad thing. But let's look back for a second on the high school football front. I know we just had signing day, and I think you wrote the piece about Michael Vick's class at Norfolk State, which it seems like they got more local talent this year. You can hit on that. But the season just concluded, Larry, with the championships. I think we expected Oscar Smith to complete the back-to-back in Class 6, which they did. We anticipated Morey would be in the driver's seat to get a three-peat, which they did, and it doesn't diminish those accomplishments for Doreen McCain's Commodores, Chris Scott's Tigers. But the real surprise to us all was what Lake Taylor did from 3-7 to championship. I'm not sure it was on your bingo card to see Hank Sawyer win another ring this year the way he did, and to have Keon Johnson, well-deserving of Tidewater Player of the Year, to go from really an obscure, unknown name to the top of the mountain. Now, tell me about just what that year was like, because, again, I think that was sort of the story of the year. While Morey and Oscar Smith are certainly the great teams, what Lake Taylor did surprise a lot of folks.
Without a doubt, and Hank Sawyer, what I love about him is, he does the old school way. He's not just a football coach, but he's a lot of these guys' father, mother, uncle, whatever. And to see him hold fast to not only what he does as a coach, but also his faith in God and how it's gone down to his athletes. He's preparing for kids, not just for college, but for life. And I went to every time he has a signing day. I don't care if he doesn't have Division I players. I'm going to be there because I know what it means not only to those kids, but the program, to those families, and what these kids are doing. He's put these kids on the line. They had a lot of kids going Division II, Division III, and I was so excited for them. But he gives his heart, man. It's a passion for him. It's just not about winning games. It's about, establishing a program and putting these kids, making it better for them in life. And I think people need to see that. I heard all the grumblings, when he went through last season, and people talking about him. His time is over. His time is over. I know he kept hearing that all the time. He said, okay, just wait a little while and look what happens. Not only does he turn the record around, but he wins a state title. And to see those guys going on to that next level now, I'm excited for him. And man, Hank, man, people don't realize, man, this guy's been around. He knows it, man. He knows it. And his faith is amazing. And you see what happens when you got people believing not only in yourself, but also in God and see what he did. So I'm so happy for him. So happy for him.
Yeah, I couldn't because of all my travels and things and so forth. I couldn't make it over there for signing day, but we did have him on the show. He cracks me up every time talking about. He was joking with Ed about his. I'm going to get there to a Smithfield game. I watch everything closely. Hank pays attention to everything closely, but you really cracked me up. You put up the video of him. He was singing for his guys, right, on signing day. How about that?
Man, it was so great. It was, and he did it, and it's not the first time he's done that. But something just said, you know what, man, Larry, hit record. And he sang that song, boy, and I played it for my wife, and she was like, man, who's that singing? I said, that's Hank Sawyer, the coach over at Lake Taylor. And he sang that song. He had some people give me this shout. We was in church. We were in church. We were at a Saturday. We were at church. So it was awesome, man. It was a great, I'm so glad there, and to catch him in that moment, because that was him for real. And he sang that song. Yeah,
that's so great, and no doubt about it. Maybe his album will be coming out soon. But
on
the signing day piece, anything really jump out at you or grab you? We know about some of the big names which you guys have in your top 50, the Travis Johnsons of the world going to Michigan, and some of the bigger names. But certainly, it looks like Norfolk State is starting slowly after a rough year in year one, the debut for Michael Vick, to get some of the local players to stay home.
And I think that's more. A lot of the guys said the same thing. They say, "Hey, you know what? I want to try to make that change in this program." And I don't know if anybody's been seeing on BET. They're doing a big Michael Vick experience type thing, where it's 8 episodes, and the first one ran on, I believe, it was on signing day on Wednesday. And here, he knew it was going to be tough, but I don't think he realized it was going to be that tough. And to see that going on, he's got a lot of kids coming in there. Now it's going to see what can they do with it. I tell you the one thing, I do that top 50 thing every year. You never know who's going to come in, who's going to fall out. And I bet you it was at least 10 other kids who signed with Division I schools, and I'm so happy for them, and there's a lot of kids in that top 50 who didn't for whatever reason. And I think the other big thing that I saw too that I enjoy, Bobby Rome, Chicago State, did a first-year program. First time the Windy City is going to have a Division I football program, and he's got a bunch of kids from this area going there. He knows what the 757 is all about, and so seeing all those players going to him, it was a good thing. And you're seeing the Norfolk States, you're seeing VMI, a lot of these other, William and Mary's getting a lot of kids from here, so it just shows how rich this area is. But the other thing to it, I got a column coming up on Monday talking about how the whole signing day thing is changing. And talked to DeReed McCain about it. And, he went to a clinic, a 3-day clinic down in Charlotte, and talked about how it's changing and how he's got to now prepare his parents and his players for this new change. I mean, a lot of kids, it's not about signing these high school kids anymore. It's about signing these kids who are in college, jumping into the portal, getting experienced college players now. And so it's going to have an effect on our area. I mean, we had a lot of kids that signed on signing day, but it's going to affect our kids. It's going to affect our kids. And it was just, him talking about getting ahead of the curve, getting ahead of it. And you can't complain about it. You got to adapt to it. And that's what the story is. It's going to be a column. It's going to be in Monday's paper.
Okay, we'll check that out for sure and tease that coming up. But, I'm glad you brought that up, because as we get ready to transition to basketball, we see that happen more frequently now with the high school hoop standouts, where I get asked quite frequently, as I know you do, where's this standout player going to go? We'll delve into some of the key names like the Damian Robinsons at Lansdowne, who's just a sophomore, or Keon Mitchell at Norview, who's a senior, getting some attention from some of the area and state schools. But I love that you brought Bobby Rome, former Granby guy, Norfolk guy, got Marcus McCoy from Salem, a linebacker who's going to help, I think, right away. But the recruiting battles are going to be fascinating moving forward here to Larry. We see Old Dominion's coming off a good year. We see Virginia Tech hiring James Franklin, and UVA's already gotten a bundle of these verbal commits, it feels like, I don't know about for you, but for me, I know following the recruiting pretty closely, we're seeing kids commit so much sooner than before, whether it's being squeezed early to do so or they're doing it as juniors now. We're seeing kids, I mean, Lonnie Andrews commits as a junior from Oscar Smith to UVA verbally. We'll see if that verbal does stay and he signed. It feels like we're seeing that the process accelerated. Do you get that sense as well? It's getting accelerated or sped up?
Yeah, and I think that's what the colleges want. They want to know, hey, what do we have? Who do we have? We want to get this done. If you can't sign with us right now, then we're going to get somebody else. And I think that's going to put the pressure on the kids and the parents to realize, okay, if I don't sign now, what if I don't get another offer? And I know, the college coaches know that. They know, like, okay, you going to sign with me now, or are you not going to sign? And it's going to, when I was talking to, DeRee and I was talking to some other coaches and some other former players just about what it was like going through this. I wrote a story about Pernell Sturdivant last Sunday, former all-star at Lake Taylor as well as at Virginia Tech. And we kind of talked about just this whole scene now, how it's changed. And it's putting more pressure on these kids to have to make that choice right then. Because if you don't, you might miss out. And then, of course, and the coach is going to let you know that because they want you to sign right now. So it's, man, I wouldn't want to be, I wouldn't want to be recruited right now. I'm telling you, it's tough. It's tough.
It really is. As we move on to the high school basketball side of things, I just mentioned it. We're less than 2 weeks away from regional starting. We're like, what in the world? I mean, we've had these snow outs. We've had cancellations, postponements. I don't think I've been to a game in like the last 2 weeks. It seems that way. I've been watching more on the computer online through the NFHS network. But I know when I have been at some games, I've run into you at some of the better games in the area. What's your sense of the area? It feels like, last year we ended up having a boys champion Class 5 in Green Run. We know girls-wise, Princess Anne continues to be the queen as long as Darnell Dozier's there and Micah Ojo's dominating things. But this year it might be a little bit more parity, wide open. I don't know that we have a defined championship favorite. What's your feeling right now?
Yeah, I agree because look at I know even in our own poll, Lansdowne still number one and started off the season number one. I mean, the only 3 games they lost was two ranked teams down in North Carolina, and then they almost beat Petersburg, and so they've been getting it done. But I still think their key is they got to keep the big man out of foul trouble. When he's not in foul trouble, they keep going. When he's in foul trouble, you see it takes everything off, and then Dwight has to do even more coaching than he's doing already. But I like what Lansdowne's doing. I'm telling you, I really like Hampton. Hampton, man, they look. I haven't seen the games in person, but watching it online and just seeing their size, their quickness, their outside shooting, their inside game, the defense. Coach Brown's got them guys playing, and I really like. You mentioned. Taft got inside, and I just like their balance. I like their balance. 2 teams. I mean, you're looking at Northview look good with the game I saw you at, man. Mitch, I mean, that team. They look exciting, and then Lake Taylor, who they beat that night, they look good. They look really good. So I mean, it's you can't count out Denby, who they got beat pretty bad by Hampton in the last one, and of course you can never count out Woodside, even though I know they're having some, they're not where they need, where I'm sure they want to be, but they got a talented coach and talented team. And then of course you got those teams in the Southeastern District with Oscar Smith, Nansemond River, Kings Fork. So it's like you said, but I haven't seen like that team like, oh man, I know they're gonna do it. You just don't know. And on top of that, Lansdowne beating Patriot, that was a big one earlier this season as well. So man, I tell you, it's gonna be an exciting time, and you can't say, oh, this team's definitely gonna win. Yep, it's wide open right now.
Yeah, and I want to get to some of the great teams in a second because you got to see a reunion of one, which you highlighted in the paper here recently. But before you do on that with that 2001 team, because it's already started the conjecture, the conversation. I even had someone come up to me. I was at the store, and they said, "So who's the best team?" I'm gonna get your take on that. The best team. There's never a right or wrong answer to those discussions. You're always a lose-lose. But no, looking at the playoff the situations coming up here, and by the way, we got to clone ourselves, Larry, because Friday night coming up on the 13th, you got Kings Fork hosting Nansemond River and Norview hosting Lake Taylor, a rematch. And I said, I can't be at 2 places at once. I might have to, and I'll be in town. I might have to stay home and watch one on one computer, one on the other. That might be the strategy to go with here as we close out the season. But as you look at it too, with the scene. I'm with you. I think Lansdowne and Hampton are 1 and 2. Any way you want to slice them, because Ed and I have done our little top 5 occasionally here on the show, and for the television portion that airs on Cox and Yearview, we've kind of bounced back and forth between those two. But there have been some surprise stories too a little bit this year. And as far as teams that are getting and programs that are getting better, Denby's on the rise a little bit here. Princess Anne on the rise, known for their girls program, and even to an extent, Nansemond River Joe Wissel's got them as maybe a sneaky dark horse in 5. I do think the depth feels like it's in 5 and maybe the most wide open, but our best shot at a championship on the boys' side is probably between Lansdowne and 6 and Hampton and 4. Is that how you feel as well?
Yeah, I would agree. But so, like you said, 5 is just, oh my gosh, it's so deep. I tell you, a team that surprised me that's playing well, even though they got beat bad in the second half, but Salem looked good too.
Yeah.
They got some big boys. They got that outside shooter who's hitting everything. And, for a while, they were right there with Lansdowne. They had about a bad 4-minute stretch there. But that's a team that could surprise somebody. And like I said, I'm glad to see Princess Anne, beating Green Run for the second time this season. I think that hopefully that was going to give those guys some motivation and some confidence to realize, hey, we could play with anybody. I know they've been losing in some of those games against big teams and beating the other teams they should beat. Now getting that win over Green Run, I think they realized too, look, man, we can play. You better watch out for us as well. So, it's going to be exciting, man. But like you said, 5 is going to, 5 is going to be crazy. But I definitely like Lansdowne and 6. And I like Hampton and 4. And again, you can't count out Denby as well.
Yeah, I'm with you totally. And Salem, you're absolutely spot on. Lloyd Deloach, they've won, I think, 8 of 9 here. So they beat First Colonial on Friday night. They got some key games to close. They got Green Run and Kellum next week, which will be important games for seeding spots in Region 5A. Going back to what I teased there a moment ago, you were at that 2001, the reunion of the Salem team led by John Gilchrist. They had so many talented players, including our pal Zon Burden, who's now an assistant football coach at Duke, and Bill Cochran, the legendary coach whose son is now coaching the area at Norfolk Collegiate. And by the way, speaking of the private schools, I think that's a lot of parity there too with the Catholics, the Norfolk Collegiates, the Peninsula Catholic, no dominant team. But tell me what that was like, and I'm sure you get peppered with who's the best team you've seen covered. The 3 that leaped to mind for me, and that was a little bit before I started that Salem team in 01, but I do remember them with Gilchrist. The 2 that right off the bat was Norcom's back-to-back team with Dorian Finney-Smith leading the way, and the Woodside back-to-back team led by Calvin Baker and Stephon Welsh that John Richardson coached in 2004-05. But we've also had, I told us people, we've had a lot of teams that didn't win the championship that I thought would have been in that conversation, but they get left off because they didn't win the championship.
Right. Well, and the one that people forget, that Henry team, that Cape Henry team with Chris Clark. Yeah. I'm trying to think of all the players on the team, but Chris Clark, they had Paul's son. Devin that team was great. They if people don't remember, I think you remember, they played over against a young man that's in the NBA right now. I can't think of his name either, but
Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins, yeah.
That team was loaded, and people talk about the depth and all that kind of stuff, but that Norcom team was tough. You put them, I remember they beat Finley Prep out of Vegas, here, and that team was just tough, and it started with Dorian Finney-Smith, but it had some tough guys on that team, man. But that Salem, going to that reunion, man, Zahn actually told me about it. He says, "You're going to be at it." I said, "I didn't know anything about it." So I went to it, and just it was kind of almost, it worked out. Only the 5 starters showed up. And so I was able to chance to talk to each one of those guys. And, they said, "Man, you still doing this thing?" I said, "Yeah, man, I'm still doing this thing." And just to see those guys, the maturity, and then to think back of that team, how great that run was. Beating some great teams. The only team they lost to was Oak Hill, who finished the season number 1 in the country. And to talk to those guys. And one of the things that came up was that, they talked about state titles. And they said, Larry, man, it's crazy now. You look in the area, you might have 3 state champions in the area, from the area. And I'm like, yeah, back then, you go to Churchland High School or you go to the Scope, only 2 teams got out. And that's what I missed the most. Now we might have 8 or 9 teams getting out of the region, going to state. Back then, only 2 teams got out. And so when you went to Churchland, only 2 teams got out. And I think that's one of the things that I think I missed the most. When I talked to Coach Cochran as well, he told me, I said, he said he hadn't gone to a game in like 15 years, and he finally went to one. And the guy asked him, and the game he saw was 2 teams that were ranked pretty high. And he went to the game and he says, I look at that, not downplay what's going on, but those 2 teams wouldn't even finish in the middle of the Beach District back when I was coaching. So those are, he's not trying to say that, but he's just saying facts. A lot of these teams that 2 teams got out of the Eastern region back when it was 3 classes. And
no, you make a great point. You do. You do. Hey, do you mind if I take a quick break and bring you back? Because I want to ask you about the playoffs, and I also want to, because I just had someone that messaged in on Facebook. Ask Larry about track. So I want to ask you about track. And I was going to ask you about Keyshawn Davis. So hang on with you, don't mind, with Larry
No
Rubama,
problem.
the Hall of Fame, Hampton Roads Sports Media Hall of Famer with us here from 757 Teams, Pilot Online, Daily Press, and the Virginia Pilot. We'll be back in a quick moment after this break, and we'll hear from a couple of sponsors that make it possible. You're watching 757 Sports Talk here on Cova Sports TV.
For any athlete, making it to the top sometimes comes with a few steps back. That's why parents count on CHKD Sports Medicine, advanced diagnostics, treatment, and rehabilitation for sports injuries, just for young athletes like yours. With convenient locations across Hampton Roads and a whole team of experts here to keep your favorite player at the top of their game. CHKD Sports Medicine. Learn more at chkd.org or call the CHKD Sports Injury Hotline.
Cova Painting. We don't just paint, we transform spaces. Visit covapainting.com or call 757-550-7357 and mention the Sportsplex for 10% off of projects over $1,000.
What's up at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever! The $7 Bacon Cheeseburger Meal Deal. Bacon cheeseburger for a limited time, plus fries, drink, and a sundae. Yeah, this is not the time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7. And there's bacon on that burger. The $7 Bacon Cheeseburger Meal Deal. Now, for a limited time on the $7 Meal Deal lineup. Only at DQ. Happy tastes good.
What does happiness mean to you?
Being in the ocean with you, watching you catch super fun waves.
In Virginia Beach, happiness is breaking barriers and savoring the sunshine.
I couldn't pick a better place or a better person to be with. This is what makes me happy.
Happiness is going all out.
And taking it all in.
Here, happiness is whatever you make it. Find yours in Virginia Beach.
Cold, ladies and gents. It's really cold. Icy. Snow. My goodness. My goodness. And yet another Ed Young prediction that was, well...
Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here is Matt Hatfield.
And we welcome you back to 757 Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to Cova Sports TV and interact with us wherever you are. Larry Rubama from the Virginian Pilot, 757 Teams, Daily Press. So kind of join us for another segment. Larry, we have to play that because Ed, for the last couple of weeks, well, we didn't get the accumulation of snow that the weathermen and weather gals were forecasting. He always loves to tell me every year, which thankfully I didn't have my Virginia Prep tournament to have to worry about this. You won't get any snow. Your tournament's going to be fine. He says that. And then, by the way, his team, among many others in the state, are out not playing a game for about 7 to 10 days. And now he's in practicing while we should be doing the show together right now. But nonetheless, as we left off the last break, we were talking about how it used to be the old format. I get brought up all the time. People say, hey, will they go back to the old AAA, AA, single A? That ship has sailed. But if you were the basketball czar, we made you in charge, which would be a good move. What would be your solution? Because it feels like when we get to the playoffs, I get peppered with, I know you do too, when are these games? Where are these games? How do I get to these games? It's not all in one central location like it used to be at Churchland High School in Portsmouth or the Norfolk Scope. Is there a way where we could get the region minds together to do that? And what's the solution? Is there a solution?
Well, I know there was that one time where they played a bunch of the games at NSU that one year. They had I thought it was good. I thought it was really, really good. But I know they tried one time to do that scope. It's a financial thing. People don't want to lose money. But I think if you could do it like we used to do back in the day, where you might have maybe like to do it at the state championship, you play a couple of the games in one day, a couple of games the next day, and you can do that at scope. I think it would work out great. Or maybe I'm just trying to think of maybe scope or even at ODU. I think it would be a great idea for everybody to be able to have one site where everybody can go. Because right now it's spread out so far. We can't. It hurts us as well as media. We can't get to all those games. And so with me, I'm going to go to the one that's closest to me because I don't want to travel. No, I'm not trying to be driving late at night, coming home, in the dark and the cold and everything. But if they could do that, just kind of like stagger them, 1 and 2 maybe this day, 3 and 4 this day, 5 and 6 this day, and then you have it throughout the whole time. I mean, it would be well attended. People would like the atmosphere. Some of these high school gyms are not very safe. I'm not going to just say that.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I mean, really, you think about it, parking situations, all those types of things. When you got so many different crowds coming in, it's too small, and you just make it. Here's my thing. When it comes to that time of the year, especially the state and you get the region, this is supposed to be times that you're supposed to remember as athletes. I know when I was an athlete, I wanted to perform at the best places to get the most people to be able to see you. But some of these region games that go on don't get seen by more than 200 people because people just can't get everywhere. But if you have all the games put in one area and just stagger it, people will love that. People would love that.
Yeah, they would. And I think Norview or 5B has a neat scenario where they're going to have that Saturday coming up. I think it's the 21st, 2 weeks from the day, where they'll play 4 games in a row, all at Norview that day. So you see all the teams in the one spot, which I love. I love that idea and that concept. The one thing I don't love about that concept for that region, some region, is we have different circumstances where Region A will do this and Region B will do this. And we're the same state championship. And how they get home court and then they don't, or this team gets a bye and this team, that's where it makes some of the cloudiness with some of it. But there will be some compelling storylines, that's for sure, as we move into it. As we close out the high school hoops part of it, and then we'll go to a couple quick hitters with you on track and the boxing with Keyshawn Davis in the limelight. There hasn't been as many coaches. I brought up earlier. Craig Brehan told us last night that he's going to be retiring after this season.
Oh man!
Yeah, one of the. We know he's going through some health challenges, but one of the best has done it. Ed's back in the mix. Dwight Robbins has been doing it for a long time, but there's not a lot of coaches we see that are staying around at places like they used to. You just talked about Bill Cochran. I think of him and Jack Baker and the late Ben Moore, Dennis Katufa, some of these veteran coaches. What's your sense of where we are with the coaches? And it could be with not just basketball, but football too, because it feels like we don't have a lot of the continuity that we used to.
No. It's almost like what's going on, on the college level. Some of these coaches just jumping. And I'm going to tell you one thing, just talking to coaches, one of the main things is parents. I tell the coaches often. I mean, I know several, I won't say the sport, I won't say the school, but I know I've talked to several coaches who are very successful in the sport that they do, and they're still hearing it from parents. I wouldn't be a coach because I would get fired for things I might say to a parent who comes in and thinks that their kid is all that and the kid isn't. And then the coach does everything he possibly can for this kid. And then that kid ends up, because he's not happy, the parent's not happy, takes him to another school and they're transferring. Coaches ain't trying to deal with that. Coaches is no, enough is enough. And yeah.
No, but it's so true. That's why you admire what the guys like the Hank Sawyers and Lake Taylor in football, Dwight Robinsons, the Darnell Doziers at Princess Anne, the Craig Breons have done to stay in this profession 20, 30 plus years. You don't get a lot of pay in terms of your stipend, and it's pretty thankless at the end of the day.
No.
And then you hear more of the complaints like we do with the writing we joked about earlier with the sports writing. Why don't you write about this, or you didn't write about so and so? You hear more about, well, how come this kid that played for you didn't get to this certain college, as opposed to, like they have the magic potion or wand to determine whether that kid's going to play at, Virginia Tech or Penn State or
exactly.
But I brought up, we had a guy ask us earlier, he's a Smithfield fan, asked Larry about what's the latest with track. I guess their boys team was indoor track district champs, and I know you were at the Virginia Beach Sports Center here in the last month or so, right?
Yeah, man. Oh my gosh, I've covered every great track athlete to come out of here since 2000, and I'm telling you, Sophie Rambo over at Grassfield is amazing, and not only is she amazing as a track athlete, and this is a high compliment to her, she's a better person than she is a track athlete. This young lady set the national record in the 500. This lady is ranked in the top 5 in the nation in the 300. She does everything. She does it with a smile. She does it with grace. She's it. She is it, man. And I had the privilege of covering Grant Holloway through his high school and college career and professional career. And this kid, man, she's amazing. She's amazing. And then another one, the Rose family. They got another one. Their one daughter, Michaela, she ran the LSU's All-American, all that. Now she's sister, I'm gonna mess her name up, McKay Line. I'm not sure, but she's a senior at Nansemond River, and she's ranked in the high jump. She's ranked in the triple jump. She runs the 500. She runs the hurdles. That Rose family, every year, they just keep producing talent over and over and over again. But again, track. Every time I think, okay, we've seen the last great person to come out of here in track, another one comes, and they just keep coming, and it's great to see. Last year with the kid from Bayside, shocked the world, and now he's down in South Carolina. So it's track. Track is good. Track is good.
I was just about to ask you how Andrew was doing, the young man from Bayside, South Carolina, because I got to MC the Virginia Beach Sports Club Jamboree the last few years. Got that privilege, and he got the male athlete of the year again. I know he's done well, but it sounds like that Rose family is like the Finney Smiths, producing athlete after athlete after athlete, and the Roses keep doing it every year, huh?
And this is the last one. Okay,
so
I can't wait to see what she's gonna do. But in terms of Salvador, I know he had not run a track meet as of yet. When I covered that event out at Virginia Beach, he did have a track meet. I want to say it was last weekend, but I don't know if they had it because of the weather. So I'm glad you said that. I'll post something on X. I almost called it the other word. I'll post on my X when I find out what he did. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. So,
and listen, people still call it Twitter, X, whatever it is, but they can follow you on the social media platform at LH Rubama, and of course all the work that the Pilot and 757 Teams does at 757 Teams on the Twitter or the X here. But before we finish up here, big boxing result last week. Keyshawn Davis, we touched on it briefly in the show, but you're more entrenched into the boxing world than we are, and it's good to see after the bad tastes of last year with not having the fight and missing the weight. It was great to see him have that moment, and now he's going to have another challenge perhaps down the road, right?
Yes, he is. I had a chance to talk to him, I think it was a week before the fight, and he talked about how he had to just get away from everything. He had to refocus, get himself situated, get himself just appreciating the game, appreciating his family, appreciating everything, and he's dedicated himself more to his family and to his God, and he talked about that. And what was interesting that I noticed when I was watching the fight was he walked out not to a rap song or anything like that, but to a gospel song by CeCe Winans. And so, and I'm hoping that that's what's going to keep him focused. He got rid of everybody who was around him and got a whole new team. He's got people going to tell him, look, man, you tripping. You need to get back on focus. And he's got his brothers also to be right there. So, and speaking of that, the brother Keon and Kevin will be fighting at ODU. I believe it's going to be in April. We'll have more on that as it gets closer. But he seems focused, man. He looked really good. Oh man, you saw no rust at all. He commanded that fight and was in the ring. And I remember talking to I forgot Lou Duva. I mean, not Lou Duva. Who's the guy I spoke to who runs Top Rank? I forgot his name. Bob Arum. I remember talking to Bob Arum when I did a story on Keyshawn. He said, look, I've seen a lot of great fighters, and when I look at Keyshawn, he could be the next Sugar Ray Leonard, because what it's about, he says, a lot of times you have fighters who are real good fighters but can't deal with the media well. Then you have people who can deal with the media that can't fight. He can do both of them. He's very charismatic. He's got that it. And maybe sometimes in life we have to go through some troubles to realize what we have and to have a better appreciation for it. I think last year's all that went on, not making weight, the stuff that happened after the fight, has got him refocused and realized, man, I almost messed all that up. I almost messed it all up. Now I got my other chance. So I see big things from him. I think he's going to probably move up again in the weight class for several reasons. But I think one of his good friends is Stevenson, and Shakur Stevenson, and I know they don't want to fight each other. And so he can move up and, make a name for himself. He's strong. He's one of the most powerful punchers we have right now. Across boxing right now, and for his size. So I'm looking forward to great things from him and his brothers, and get that DB3 back out there in a positive way. I'm looking forward to what this year is going to hold for them and the future. They got a bright future. All of them in their 20s, bright future.
Yeah, so well put there, Larry, because I'm glad to hear that Davis is going to be fighting at ODU, so fans can check that out. And I remember when the late, great Sweet Pea Whitaker passed away, we had Jordan Spivey in studio on our radio program afterwards, and you just hit on it with just the charisma part. It feels like you have to have those special qualities, that flair or swagger, which he's got, and maybe the first guy to have it to that extent, like a Sweet Pea, is Keyshawn Davis here, right?
Yeah, and he does. He loves it. He's like, bring it on. He's not afraid. He's so confident, not cocky. Some people might think it's cocky, but he knows what he can do. He knows the training that he's done. He knows what he's all about. He knows what he's fighting for. And the one thing I really, really liked about him was that he brought also an awareness about mental health when he was coming through that. So he's had to deal with a lot. He's got a lot on his shoulders as well. and just represent not only his family, but also the 757. They have so much love for the 757. And like I said, I can't wait to see what the future holds for him.
Tremendous. Well, you've been more than generous with your time today. We thank you immensely. I'm
problem,
sure Ed will
man.
be jealous. Ed will be jealous.
Anything for you, Matt. Hey, Matt, anything for you. Anytime you call me, Matt, I tell you are the heart. I'm gonna give you some your roses now. You are one of the. This area has no idea what we have in you. You're an incredible gift, man, and I appreciate everything you've done in this area. If you ask my wife, she'll tell you all the time. I see you the hardest working man I know, and I just appreciate you, man. Everything you do and continue to do, man. I really do.
Well, I thank you immeasurably for that. Before I let you run, though, tell the folks what they'll see in the pilot and the Daily Press coming up. I know you mentioned you got the story coming out on Monday, right?
Yeah, got a story coming up on Monday. Going to be talking just about how the whole recruiting thing has changed. Of course, we got our high school basketball polls coming out, and trying to find some other things to work on for this week. I got a Black History story I'm going to be doing coming up in the next couple of weeks, and then in March I got a column. I'm going to be writing a story about March is Colon Cancer Awareness Month. And I'm going to be talking about why men need to be getting checked and going through it. I lost a very close cousin of mine to colon cancer last year, and he's written a book. And so I said I'm gonna write a column to just talk about that, because a lot of colon cancer right now is the highest death now for people 50 and under. Before they used to say go get a colonoscopy after you turn 50. Now people are dying before that. So it's going to be a column just talking about what I've gone through, what my cousin went through, and what people need to do to make sure they check on their health.
No, I'm glad you brought that up, because we just had this on the radio with one of our ODU home games recently about the breast cancer with Bon Secours. We talked about it with the awareness. People need to get checked. Breast cancer, colon cancer, no doubt about it. It's so important. You don't want it to be too late and wish you had done it. So I'm glad to hear you highlighting that.
Yeah.
Well, he is the very best. He's a Hall of Fame writer and person, Larry Rubama from the Virginia Pilot.
I appreciate you, man. Go Bobcats. Go Bobcats. I'm going to see the men today. I already got my tickets. I can't wait.
Oh, see, that's right, because they're home today. Okay, we'll see. We'll see if it's a split or a sweep either way for Ohio University or ODU. It was funny. I was joking with the women's announcer, but I see that they don't want us to write, which I didn't know this. You may know this. They don't write Ohio U. It's either Ohio or Ohio University. It's like, okay, I didn't know that. You know, some of these schools are very picky. Appalachian State's the same way. So I'm like, all right, I'll make sure I don't make any. I said, I got two good friends. I said, Larry Rubama and, Lynn Burke as well as an Ohio guy.
Yeah.
I don't want to make you guys angry. So look forward to seeing you soon on the hardwood, and I will keep in touch, my friend.
And keep doing what you're doing, man. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you. That's the one and only Larry Rubama, our guest here. We'll take a time out. We got more coming your way, including Charean Williams of NBC Sports and Pro Football Talk. And the coach, Ed Young, will come before our show is out, because he's going to finish up practice, we think, right here on 757 Sports Talk. You're watching on Cova Sports TV. Now, those that help make it possible, stay tuned.
Did you know that the minimum limits in Virginia are $30,000? $30,000 is a lot of money on an individual basis. But if you're involved in a personal injury matter, that's not enough. Here at Williams Lloyd's, we're happy to provide a consultation on the amount of coverage you have in your vehicle. It can be confusing. Not many people understand it. You know you need to have it, but do you have enough? Give us a call today at 757-547-5555 so we can help you prepare in the case of an automobile accident or any other personal injury matter that you or your family may find yourself in.
For any athlete, making it to the top sometimes comes with a few steps back. That's why there's CHKD Sports Medicine. Advanced diagnostics, treatment, and rehabilitation for sports injuries, just for young athletes like yours.
What's up at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever. The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Bacon cheeseburger, fries, drink, and a sundae. No time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7. Right now at DQ. Happy tastes good.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
As a banker at Town Bank, we believe that people bank with people, not with banks. You're looking for an actual personal relationship. And that's what you get at our bank. You get that person that gets to know you, gets to know your business, is there for you. I think that is what motivates us, what drives us. And the idea that we are trying to serve others and enrich lives, I think is very true.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
After more than 50 years of innovation, AstroTurf still leads the way. The inventor of artificial turf does it all, right here in the USA. We engineer, test, manufacture, and install the world's most innovative fibers and turf technologies, with over 30,000 tracks and fields worldwide. AstroTurf, powered by Sport Group.
And welcome you back to 757 Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to Cova Sports TV and interact wherever you are. We have a special guest with us. She's one of the best in the business when it comes to covering the National Football League for 30-plus seasons. You can find her on the X or the Twitter NFL. Charean, Hall of Fame voter and past president of the Pro Football Writers Association, writes for Pro Football Talk at NBCSports.com. Our friend Charean Williams. Charean, it's Super Bowl 60. It's a fun time of year as we put the finishing touches on the football season. How have you been?
I've been good, ready for the Super Bowl. This is always a fun week, one of the best weeks of the year, and I can't wait for the game.
Absolutely. A lot of people are just with you on that. It is Seattle and it is New England for Super Bowl number 60. And you got a neat story on I saw earlier on NBCSports.com and Pro Football Talk on a defensive player for the Seahawks who once upon a time played in the Lone Star State. But before we get to all that and the matchups and what you think of this game, also get a quick moment with you on the Hall of Fame too, but neither of these two teams made the playoffs the previous 2 years. Bigger surprise that Seattle's here or that New England's here?
Oh, I think the Patriots, just based on what they've done over the last 2 years, how few games they've won, new head coach, first year, second year quarterback. I mean, it's a pretty amazing story to see them come from the ashes back out. And it wasn't that long that they were in the Super Bowl. So it shows you how quickly things can turn if you get the right coach, the right quarterback. I think it should provide hope for every team that's downtrodden in the NFL, including the Browns and the Raiders and teams like that, the Titans, that if you get the right coach and the right quarterback, you can get to the Super Bowl fairly quickly, turn it around fairly quickly. And the Patriots have shown that.
Really has been the combination. And all year long, I don't know if you felt this, but I've heard so many different talking heads, the pundits, the scribes describe this, that it felt so wide open. So you really could have had about 10 or 12 or 15 different Super Bowl combinations, and the playoffs are pretty riveting from the start to the end. So many close games, so many fourth quarter lead changes. You've been covering this league for 3+ decades now. Have you seen a postseason or remember one that's been like this one?
Well, I don't know if there's that many teams that had a chance. I mean, we do have the number one seed and the number 2 seed, the number 1 seed in the NFC and the number 2 seed in the AFC. So it tends to kind of follow those lines, and I think it did again. I think the Broncos had a chance in the AFC. The Rams obviously had a chance in the NFC, and the Eagles, I would say, had a chance in the NFC. So I'd probably throw the Bears in there. They'd had a chance, and that's probably all I would say that I would put in there. For me, it was a 2-team race in the AFC, and it came down to that, and the Patriots were better on that day than the Broncos were. And then in the NFC, you always thought it was probably going to be a team in the NFC West, and as it turned out, the Seahawks were better than the Rams and better than the 49ers, and so they earned that right. So I don't know that it's that unusual than many other years, other than we don't have Patrick Mahomes in the game. We don't have the Chiefs in the game. That is a rare occurrence since Patrick Mahomes became the quarterback of the Chiefs. Rare occurrence. And, of course, even if he had stayed healthy, I don't think the Chiefs were the team this year. The question is, Can the Chiefs get back to where they were? Because it looks to me like the Patriots are going to be here for a while. So is it going to be the Patriots and the Chiefs going back and forth and battling for that, with the Broncos perhaps in there competitively in the next few years? Or is it going to be down to the Patriots and the Broncos and maybe not many other teams in the AFC? We're going to see. It remains to be seen. Again, you turn this thing around in a hurry, and perhaps the teams we aren't talking about right now, a team like the Ravens that changed head coaches, is going to be in this game next year. It's not inconceivable.
No, you make up some great points, because there are some people out there that have that craving of the Chiefs. If they're Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid fans, or the loathing them, they got Chiefs fatigue, if you will. A little bit of that on the East Coast too with the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's been that way with the New England Patriots. So this is a different regime from the Belichick-Brady era to now Vrabel, who played on some of those championship teams, and of course now Drake May. But Buffalo's been right there knocking on the door. So has Baltimore. So it's fascinating storylines as we move things along here. But I did want to bring up one of those stories that I touched on in the storylines and subplots. You had a great piece up there on Pro Football Talk, NBCSports.com, on DeMarcus Lawrence. He's now age 33, spent 11 seasons in Dallas, and now he's in the Super Bowl in his first campaign with Seattle. And he can be a key X factor in this game, can he?
Yeah, I would have him as one of my X factors in this game. Has a chance to earn the MVP of the game if he can have the game of his life, which is, again, not unprecedented in Super Bowl history. We've seen it before where a defender, a Larry Brown or Dexter Jackson or whoever that might be, comes and performs at a level that we've never seen before. And so I'm not putting that out of the realm of possibilities that DeMarcus Lawrence has the game of his life and is MVP of this game. I think he can have a huge impact on this game and on that Patriots offense. And I just think that Seattle defense is so good. It's not going to surprise me if the MVP comes off the defense. Of course, Sam Darnold's the betting favorite, but it's not going to surprise me with as good as that Seahawks defense is if the MVP comes off of that defense and not the offense.
I'm with you, because that Seattle defense has just been stupendous here lately, and they don't have as many of the name players on the defense that they did during their run with the Legion of Boom, where they had Richard Sherman and Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor, who hails from our area in the 757 in Virginia. Yet they're just consistent and they get the job done. And I want to go there before we double on the quarterbacks here with Drake May and Sam Darnold, that the defensive lines, it feels like they're going to be the story in this game. And in New England's case, they've allowed 15 sacks in 3 playoff games, 11 against 4-man rush. This game come down to which offense can protect its quarterback better?
That, and which may lead into my key, is turnovers, because I think if Sam Darnold doesn't turn the ball over, if they protect him, he doesn't turn the ball over, I think Seattle wins this game handily. I don't think it's going to be close. I think that New England defense can keep it close for a bit, but if they don't force turnovers, then I think Seattle's going to end up running away with this game. So, as Bill Parcells taught me so many times when I was covering him, you got to have a good offensive line. You got to have a defensive line. That's where it starts. If you have a good offensive line and a good defensive line, you're going to have a chance in every single game. And I think we've seen that with these two teams, with good offensive lines and good defensive lines. So the quarterback play and the lack of turnovers or the amount of turnovers that one of these quarterbacks has could have the final say. And, Drake May, frankly, in the postseason has been a little loose with the football, and he hasn't had to pay a price yet, but he could pay a price against the Seattle defense.
Bring up a great point, because I think he got overshadowed by all the turnovers that C.J. Stroud had in the snow in that divisional round game. And then furthermore, backup quarterback you're facing against in Denver didn't have a lot of passing yards, but he made some plays with his feet. And that one, we're chatting with Charean Williams, NBC Sports Pro Football Talk, as we get you ready for Super Bowl 60 between Seattle and New England on Super Sunday. Our guest here on 757 Sports Talk is Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe. And Charean, I want to go to the high-level wide receivers in this game. You have Jackson Smith and Jigba for Seattle, who, if he's not the best receiver in the league, he's right there with Puka Nacua in that conversation. You have Cooper Kupp, who's gotten an MVP in a Super Bowl. You have Stephon Diggs, who's had a really fine career, changes teams from Buffalo to New England. Other receivers that can make plays in this game. Receiver position going to give the defensive backfields problems in this one?
It could. I mean, it's a good group of receivers overall that we have in this game, so that could keep it exciting for sure. But yeah, I like the receivers in this game, and I do think JSN is the best receiver in football. He was this season. He was on my MVP ballot. So, I think you got to give him his kudos for what he's done for the Seattle offense. They've been just fantastic this year, and he's made a huge difference for the offense. And as you said, Cooper Kupp's already won Super Bowl MVP award and is a top-notch receiver, and the Rams seemed to think that he was done. He wasn't, and he had another great year and has been an impact in the postseason. So I love all these receivers for both the teams. And you look at some of those New England receivers who kind of are unsung, who I think could make a big impact as well. I would put some of them probably as my X factor.
Yeah, Matt Collins, a guy from UNC like Drake May that certainly has had his moment stepping up and play. And I want to go to the running back position because it amazes me, Charean. You remember the last time there was an MVP in a Super Bowl? It was Terrell Davis 18 years ago in that memorable upset of then defending Super Bowl champion Green Bay. The Packers led by Brett Favre, Davis, along with John Elway. They get it done for the Broncos. Is there a pretty decent chance in this era now where it's often the quarterbacks or big defensive players you touched on that either of the lead running backs, Kenneth Walker for Seattle or even Ramondre Stevenson for New England, could get MVP?
Well, Kenneth Walker has had an amazing postseason so far. So I'm not going to rule him out. I think it's unlikely. I probably wouldn't put any money on either one of them having that big of an impact on this game, or Henderson for that matter, Travion Henderson for the Patriots. But Kenneth, if I'm going to pick one, I'm going to pick Kenneth Walker because I just think he's played so well in the postseason and has been such a benefit to that Seattle offense, especially after they lost their lead running back. He's kind of taken over that and just said, hey, it's mine. I'm going to perform to this level, and I'm going to show you that, I am a number one running back and I can get it done. And he's done just that.
Yeah, minus Charbonnet. I want to follow up with you on that. Travion Henderson hasn't gotten as many touches. I know he had a concussion late in the regular season, if I recall, and I bring him up because a lot of fans in our state love him from Virginia, Hopewell High School, before he started with the Ohio State Buckeyes. Any chance you could see him getting more touches in this game because he was really not involved at all in the game plan against Denver in the AFC title game?
Yeah, I think you're going to see some of him. He's had another couple of weeks, and they practiced, and I think they'll use him, and I think they'll need all their weapons against this Seattle defense. I think they're going to need him. I think they're going to need Stevenson to step up. They're going to need these receivers to step up. They're going to have to play at a level they have not played at this season if they're going to have a chance. They have not played a defense like this. They have not played a team like this. This is a totally different experience from anything they've seen this season. Now, they've had 2 weeks, and I think Vrabel is a great coach. I think he's got a great coaching staff. I had Josh McDaniels as my number one on my assistant coach of the year with what he did with Drake May. He was my vote as the assistant coach of the year. We'll see if he wins that award on Thursday. But I just think that they've got an amazing coaching staff. But I think they're going to use every one of these weapons, and they will need to. And they will need to pull out some new and different plays from what they've had in the regular season if they're going to have a chance to stay close to Seattle.
Yeah, you're like me. I'm leaning towards Seattle having their way potentially in this game. And that leads me to my final one on the game with you before we finish up with the Hall of Fame and let you run here, Charean, that Robert Spillane had a big pass breakup for New England to seal its win over Houston in the divisional round, the linebacker. I know he's been dealing with an injury. I believe it's an ankle issue. What are you hearing on his status, and how crucial is he to their defense functioning at a high level? Because if they have no Spillane or Spillane at less than 50%, it feels like Seattle can maybe get a lot of what it wants offensively.
Yeah, he's a big key to that defense. The injury reports start coming out tomorrow, the official one. We got some last week, so we don't really know what those mean. We'll have a better feel for the injury reports this week. I think we're going to be watching the two quarterbacks, frankly, on those injury reports. Are they going to practice in full? Are they going to be limited this week? How's that going to work out for them? So I think that's a big thing to watch as well. But the injury reports are going to be key, and he's one of those keys that we're going to be watching this week to see how he practices, how much he practices.
Okay, good deal. And lastly here, I know a lot of the chatter's going on around the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and it feels like so much is being made about who's not going into Canton this year, i.e. Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft. And some of us, not all of us, are losing sight of celebrating those that get in. So as a Hall of Fame voter, I'm not going to ask you to divulge your vote or anything with the process, but what's your feelings on how things are shaking out?
Yeah, I'm fine with divulging my vote. I voted for Robert Kraft. I voted for Bill Belichick. So there's 5 in that category. There's 3 seniors, and then those 2, and those were 2 of my 5 votes. So I had them on my ballot. They didn't get in. It's unfortunate, especially for Bill Belichick. I think he should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer, and he wasn't. At least 11 people voted against him. I would think that the majority voted for him, but it didn't work out for him in his first year. I think he'll be a walk-in second ballot Hall of Famer next year. Once you get in, I don't think it matters whether you're first ballot or second ballot in the NFL. I mean, you're in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and you celebrate that. And ask anyone other than T.O., I guess, from Harry Carson to Drew Pearson to whoever the time, Charles Haley, the time it took them to go in, and they'll tell you that being in the Hall of Fame is being in the Hall of Fame. They're never going to take you out of the Hall of Fame, and it doesn't really matter when you went in, just the fact that you went in. But I do hope come Thursday that we've gotten over Bill Belichick, and we've gotten over Robert Kraft, and we've gotten over Eli Manning, and we can celebrate Drew Brees or Larry Fitzgerald or whoever it is, Roger Craig, whoever goes in. I hope we can celebrate those guys and be happy for them and not overshadow the fact they're in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I think it does an injustice to them. I think it's unfair to them. And I want to see them celebrate and get to enjoy this moment.
Awesome. Well put. I'm a big Larry Fitzgerald guy, so I'm happy for his opportunity here. And before we let you run here, Charean, how can the audience out there check out some of the great work you have there on NBCSports.com, Pro Football Talk? What's the best way to follow your coverage?
Yeah, you can go on to NBCSports.com, or you can go on to Pro Football Talk, and that's where we are. And we'll be here all week and pounding away at the keyboard and putting up a lot of stuff. So I'm going to get back to work and put up a lot more posts today.
Awesome. Charean Williams, one of the best in the business, 30-plus years of covering the National Football League. Bill Nunn Award in 2018. Also a Hall of Fame voter, past president of the PFWA. And, of course, I can't forget a distinguished alum of Texas A&M. So she'll be watching and following and rooting for Buckyball this March as the madness will be coming for college basketball. Always a pleasure, Charean. Enjoy Super Sunday, and we'll talk down the road.
Matthew, thanks for having me.
You bet. Charean Williams, our guest here from NBC Sports and Pro Football Talk. We've got more coming your way. It's 757 Sports Talk here on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll be back in just a bit. Stay tuned.
What is more? Is it more reps, more strength, more stamina? We say it's all of that, but it's greater than just what's in the mirror. It's about improving your mental and physical health. More is a feeling of achievement, fulfillment, confidence. It's looking better, feeling better, being better, and it's our mission to get you there, because here you are more. One Life Fitness.
As a banker at Town Bank, we believe that people bank with people, not with banks. You're looking for an actual personal relationship, and that's what you get at our bank. You get that person that gets to know you, gets to know your business, is there for you. I think that is what motivates us, what drives us, and the idea that we are trying to serve others and enrich lives, I think is very true.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
Portco is your local nonprofit organization dedicated to economic empowerment through employment for people with disabilities. We focus on abilities, not limitations, providing on-the-job vocational support. Find your pathway to employment. Contact us or learn more at portco.org.
I'm Dr. Mark Cardelia, orthopedic surgeon and surgical director of the CHKD Sports Medicine Program. We see a lot of knee injuries in student athletes these days, and many of these are ACL tears. Parents often ask how to know when a knee injury may be serious. The most obvious symptom is severe pain or swelling in the knee joint. Your child may have heard a pop when the injury occurred. Look for signs they can't put weight on the knee around 48 hours after the injury, or if the knee feels unstable or wobbly. Those are all signs you should see a CHKD sports medicine specialist. Our sports medicine physicians, surgeons, athletic trainers, and physical therapists understand the needs of growing athletes and tailor treatment to fit each child's age and level of activity. Our goal is to accurately diagnose the problem in a timely fashion and provide the treatment that will ensure a safe return to activity. Kids want to play, and we want to help them get back in the game. To learn more, visit chkd.org. Sports medicine at CHKD. We're more than a hospital.
Well, look, I don't blame coaches. You know, I've got friends that are playing with 27-year-olds and they feel bad. I said, don't feel bad. We don't have any rules. Why should you feel bad? But let me give you this. Real simple. The rules be's the rules. So if you put your name in the draft, I don't care if you're from Russia and you stay in the draft, you can't play college basketball. Well, that's only for American kids. What? If your name is in that draft and you got drafted, you can't play because that's our rule. Yeah, but that's only for American kids. Okay. Now, here's the next lawsuit. Well, we don't have a say over European players. You do if they're playing in college basketball. So that means you don't have a say over high school kids. So whatever a high school kid does before he comes here, don't you do one thing because there's a suit. Because what you're saying is, if he's in Europe, we don't have the same rules. What? If he puts his name in the draft, he can't go to college. He left his name in. Well, that's different because he's European. Okay, you're not doing anything with a high school player then. We don't have any jurisdiction over a high school player, do we? We don't. So when they come, you just got to say, all right, now they're here. The other thing, the eligibility. Again, real simple. You got 5 years to play 4. If you stay at the same school 4 years, we'll give you a 5th year. If your coach leaves or is fired, you can transfer without penalty. You can do it once, and if the coach is fired or leaves, you could end up doing it twice. But after that, you got to sit out. You can transfer, but you got to sit out. Does anybody care what this is doing for 17 and 18-year-old American kids? Do you know what this opportunity has done for them and their families? There aren't going to be any high school kids. Who, other than dumb people like me, are going to recruit high school kids? I get so much satisfaction out of coaching young kids and seeing them grow and make it and their family life changes that I'm going to keep doing it. But why would anybody else, if you can get NBA players, G League players, guys that are 28 years old, guys from Europe, do we really know their transcript? Do we have somebody over there? Do we really know their birth certificate? Or don't we? And then, there's no... Look, Tommy Izzo, Mark Few, there are a bunch of us that are just... We got no rules. Why did they let that kid play? Tell us all. Here's what the reason. Then we'll all go get pros. We'll go find them. Here's my second thing. You ready? No one listens to me. I told you. My wife, I talked to her. She's not even listening. She got ear things in, and I didn't know. I'm talking to her. You ready? Mid-season, unless you're in the school. This is an easy rule. We can do this, NCAA. Don't tell me about lawsuits. If you join a program at midseason, you cannot play that season. If you're in school and have to get yourself eligible, that's okay. You can play the second term without playing the first. What? So now, let me ask you this. What does that do for the kids in the program that you're bringing kids in at midseason when it was their opportunity? I mean, I just don't get any of this. And again, Tommy, Mark Few, myself, we got my son, their sons are in this. I just want to help it before I'm out for my kid. I'm very selfish. But it's for that. But this stuff here, I just gave you what we could do. I'm going to give you one other. The collectives on our campuses, whether you're doing it through your media people, whatever, cannot be involved in recruiting in any way or transfers. But if a kid's on your campus for a year, give them what you want to stay. So we'll get more kids staying. How about this? It'll be great for them academically. They'll probably make more money, but they'll be academic. We're not going to have kids leaving after transferring 4 times. What's the percentage of kids that make the NBA? Unless you play for me. What would be the percentage? Like it's like 1% or less? That means 99% of the college players that are getting money, it's fugazi. Fugazi. Because they're getting 400, 500, 800, a million, and they're not pros. So now they have to go get a job after 4 stops. No college degree. No loyalty from the state or the program or anybody. You were a mercenary. Okay, now you got to go get a job. I don't care what a kid makes. It doesn't. But I do care what we're doing to young people. If all these kids could make $4 million, I don't care. But what we're doing by letting them have transfer at will. Transfer once. Coach leaves. You can go twice without penalty. But other than that, you got to sit out. Because now you get 3 years at one school. You're going to get a college degree. You can't be 30. You got 5 years. Clock is ticking. If you go pro, I don't care what country you're from. You leave your name in. You cannot play college basketball. If you transfer mid-season, can't play. You got to sit out. How about we just do that stuff? We can do it without having Congress and the Senate getting 60 votes. We can do that. Let them sue us on that stuff. I wish you wouldn't have asked me that question.
Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
People, I don't know who's more long-winded, John Calipari or my cohort Ed Young, because they both can go. You spin them up, you wind them up, just let them go. And they can go. You spin them up, they can go. They can go all night long. They really can. Welcome back to 757 Sports Talk here on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and always subscribe as we talk to you about the world of college basketball. We're going to close out the show with our Super Bowl picks here in just a bit, but a lot of interesting games on the docket on this particular Saturday, including Calipari's Hogs, the Razorbacks, who are 16-6 at Mississippi State, who's 11-11. But I want to begin with a game that was last night at the Garden, MSG, St. John's, with Rick Pitino taking down Danny Hurley and UConn. And I'll pose it to the audience out there, as we also are posing to all of you out there. Give us your Super Bowl prediction, your MVP, your score, heads or tails, what color's the Gatorade, how many safeties will be in the game. Give us all your picks. We want to hear from you out there here on Cova Sports TV. Rebel Juice is saying Demon Warriors the X Factor. Corn out there going 42-17. Where are my Pats fans at? Where's the New England fan base? They're kind of sort of conspicuously quiet here on this particular weekend. They've been in so many Super Bowls, I think they're a little surprised in some respects that they're here. And they should be surprised, but happy, delighted. You're playing with house money in a sense. But last night, St. John's, a winner over UConn. Zuby Ejiofor. I know Rick Pitino just absolutely loves him some Zuby. 21 points, 10 boards, 7 assists. As improved a passing big man as there is, he gets a couple blocks, a few steals as well, or a few blocks, a couple steals. They win at 81-72. And really, the X factor in that game for St. John's was the little scrawny shooter. Watched a good piece of this game. Dylan Darling, no relation to Ron Darling, the ex-Mets pitcher who does baseball. No relation. But Silas DeMary, who came from Georgia, was giving UConn a chance. He's making some incredible plays coming back in transition. He has that dunk with Ejiofor in his grill, and they cut it from 11 down to, I think, one or two. They got it right there, but St. John's held them off at the end despite some sketchy foul shooting from both sides at the end. And it's really the first top 5 win for Pitino in 10 years. But he ties Roy Williams on the wins list. They'll see each other again in Stores. It snaps the 18-game winning streak for UConn, who I still think can get a 1 seed, who I still think can be a Final Four team, who I will not press the panic button despite Hurley losing 3 in a row to Pitino in the Red Storm. But this has now become one of the more intense rivalry battles in college basketball, right there with the pure hatred. As Woody did not lose any sleep over UConn losing. Nor did a lot of people out there, Woody. But it's right there with Carolina and Duke, which is tonight, Chapter 1. There will be a second chapter in a few weeks from now when they go to Cameron. It's going to be at the Dean Dome tonight in Chapel Hill. Heels and Blue Devils. We might get our guy Andrew Jones on for that second meeting. We were crammed time-wise today. But he'll give us the insight, the fill-in, I'm sure, on Carolina, which if you watched them earlier this week, they had like a 32-point lead against Syracuse. And we know Caleb Wilson's fantastic. We know Cameron Boozer, Carlos's son, part of the Boozer twins that play for Duke, is equally great as they're projected to be like the 3rd and 4th picks or the 4th and 5th picks in the draft, right behind that showdown we had last weekend with A.J. DeBonsa of BYU, projected by most to go 2nd in the draft, behind Kansas's Darren Peterson, who was electric last week in the first half, but he's had the knee issues, the cramping issues. He's going to be a fantastic pro should he stay healthy. But they're right there. This freshman class is out of this world. You got Keaton Vogler from Illinois. Folks, watch some of these freshmen play in college basketball if you haven't yet, because they are out of this world. It's one of the best classes we've had in about 40 years of freshmen in college basketball. Carolina-Duke is the rivalry, Woody. Some will argue that the best rivalry in college sports is Ohio State and Michigan in football, or Alabama-Auburn, pure rivalry. Carolina-Duke is where it's at. I know the ACC has not been as great in recent years. I get that. I fully comprehend that. But this will be interesting tonight because going back to that Carolina-Syracuse game, Carolina's defense has been leaky at times against guards that can beat you off the dribble. Boobie Miller from SMU, Josh Okorie for Stanford. Does Duke have a guy that's going to destruct him like that? They're going to put a lot of extra attention on Boozer, who's going to step up around him. They have shooters. Duke has been a little iffy at the foul line. They lost a game at MSG that they had won in December, right before Christmas, to Texas Tech. Speaking of which, Texas Tech ended up spitting one away against Kansas on a Big Monday. But I'm interested because my first initial inkling of this game was, look, Duke is going to pound them. Carolina's been woefully inconsistent on defense. They had that 32-point lead, get down to like 7 or 8 against Syracuse. What is going on with them? Hubert Davis is getting a lot of hate right now. But when I look at it a little bit closer, I don't know. I think Carolina's got a real shot in this game because it's a little bit like UConn St. John's. You're on a long winning streak. You've been playing great. Throw records out the window sometimes. This is just good old-fashioned hate and rivalry, which we don't have a lot of in sports. Oh, my guy Bobby Rome tuning in. We got to get you on the show, Coach. Congrats to you. We had Larry Rubama on earlier, raving about your signing class at Chicago State and all the 757 flavor that you've been getting. So we want to get you on here soon. So I'm glad you're tuning in. And it is a great rivalry. I know it's very near and dear to your heart and your heel heart, Duke and Carolina. So my brain said initially this week, Duke's going to win by about 15 to 20. But looking at it a little closer and talking to one of my inside sources who follows the sport closely, he said, not so fast, my friend. He says this could be a trip-up spot for Duke. I do think, sorry, Bobby, that Duke will have its way in the second encounter at Duke, but this one tonight, Carolina's got a shot to pull the upset. And every Saturday in college basketball, You're going to see these top 5, top 10 teams, especially as we get closer to Selection Sunday, start to drop here and there because there have been some dominant teams so far. Arizona's number 1 in the country and deserving of that. Michigan is number 2. I think they're the best team in the country with Yaxel Lindenborg and that front court, which is dynamite. Merez Johnson, they won that physical battle with its rival in Michigan State last Friday. And Tom Izzo and Dusty May exchanging some barbs, kind of. And then now you got Jeremy Fears' whole issue, what he's done. But I do think that this will be an interesting game. And that going back to the Michigan State, Illinois, I mentioned Vogler. They've been playing great. They've got some European talent. They shoot the ball at a high clip. They just absolutely waxed Northwestern the other day. That's going to be a great game tonight. Your better games in college basketball today on this Saturday, the first one of February 2026, are in your night session because you got Tennessee at Kentucky. There was a big rally in Knoxville by Kentucky. Tennessee led by a great freshman who's a top 10 projected pick from our state of Virginia, and Nate Ament out of the Highland School. He started with Team Loaded, was the Gatorade Player of the Year last year, as I mentioned, in Virginia. He's fantastic to watch. As long as Jacoby Gillespie stops fouling people on three-point shots, which he did twice last week, twice against Auburn, they got a good chance to get revenge, although it's on the road at Kentucky, who's playing mighty, mighty well at this point. So they're coming off a big, impressive performance after beating Arkansas on the road last Saturday, first team, I think, to beat Arkansas on the road. So I'm fascinated by that one. And then the late game at BYU, folks. BYU is one of those teams that will drive you crazy, but they are entertaining as heck. They're playing Oklahoma State on, was that Wednesday? In Stillwater at Gallagher Arena, and they get down 15 in the game. But then they tie them up at the half. And then in the second half, they stop playing defense. Completely. Oklahoma State, led by Victorious Miller, they get going, and they pull away from BYU. Despite AJ DeBonsa playing really well, I'm not sure why Kevin Young set him. And then, of course, the whole issue in the post-game presser, Kevin Young was very upset about the unceremonious, unsavory chants about Mormons, and the Big 12 commissioner had to weigh in on this. So BYU now has dropped, I think, 3 of 4. They lost that game to Arizona, came roaring back. They lost the game to Kansas, got it close. They're a second-half team, but they keep playing with fire, and I can see it in the tournament. They're going to have a round of 32 or a Sweet 16 game where they're down 20+. They come back and win the game, and then they'll try it. The next round, they'll lose the game. BYU's got to start playing some first halves because it is killing them in these games. That is for sure. Before we go to break, we have a special guest stopping by. But I do say this, by the way, watch, as maddening as BYU is, watch them go beat Houston tonight in Provo to knock out Kelvin Sampson's Cougars, who play some physical defense. But we have with us on the program now, as we wait for my cohort to Coach Ed Young, our buddy and pal from the Virginia Beach Mustangs. He's got the Mustang swag today, and he's the leader in the picks contest. Bruce Pearl, not the Bruce Pearl who used to coach at Tennessee and Auburn, as we talk college basketball with you, and you'll see him on the tube today, I think, with ESPN, but the real Bruce Pearl, who's the best Bruce Pearl. Good morning, sir, and how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, Matt. How are you?
I'm doing well as well, and we've got Coach joining us here in a moment as he just finished up practice over at Smithfield High School, which went long, that's the norm for him. Before I talk with you about your Super Bowl picks and let you interact with Coach for a moment, your Mustangs had a nice little run there. Tell the folks about what you did, and of course, people watch Mustangs football all the time with us on Cova Sports TV. Fill the audience in that don't follow the Mustangs.
We had 3 teams that got to go to nationals this year. 2 of them actually won the national championship, one at the highest division. And then one of our other teams, the 11U team, got beaten in the Natty, gave up a blur late in the game. And, it was just an unfortunate play. But pretty exciting to have 2 national championship teams from the same org. We believe this is the first time it's ever happened in this area.
Awesome. Now, for those that don't know, your late great father, Sid Pearl, was the one that got the Mustangs program started. Tell the genesis about it and how many championships it is now for your program.
Wow, I do happen to know that. Traditionally, I wouldn't know that, but all the kids make such a big deal about it. But this is actually, we are now 10-time national champs.
Nice.
I guess that's a wrestling I don't know, some kind of wrestling thing where they say that. I don't know where it comes from.
Oh, listen, trust me. We just had on someone from VCW. They have a wrestling show tonight. We had that discussion with Mr. Excellence Brandon Scott last week on the show, and Ed will be weighing in here in a moment on the wrestling. So, but for those that don't know, Mustangs football, you guys do it. It's almost like a year-round thing now, right? Isn't it pretty much? There's no time off. There is a little bit of time off, but it's become a different animal than it was when you first started, isn't it?
Oh, no doubt. It is almost year round. We have our end of the season banquet this evening. So that'll be a great show. All sorts of cool things going on there. Doree McCain, the coach of Maury, will be there. And we've got all sorts of cool special guests that are going to get to talk. We're leading into 7-on-7 that starts next Friday night. High school 7-on-7. Youth 7-on-7 starts on Saturday. We start the inside work at the Virginia Beach Fieldhouse on February 16th. Spring football is going to start in middle of April. Yeah, it just goes year round for sure.
Yeah, it really does. We're joined by the now director, the head honcho of the Virginia Beach Mustangs, Bruce Pearl, with us here on 757 Sports Talk and Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe. As I get ready to bring in Coach Chung, I want you to look at these standings, Bruce, for a second here. Regular season, 27 for me. You were 25-29. Ed was 22-32. Not much for all of us to brag about, but one thing we did figure out, and I'll let Ed follow up after you respond to this. In the playoffs, we've gotten better. You're 6-3, 2-1 in the conference championship round. I'm 5-4, 2-1 in the conference championship round, and Ed's 4-5, 2-1 in the conference championship round. So our percentages are going up, which is what you want when you get to the playoffs, as you well know, with your 10-time national champion program. But I do have to ask you, we do these props coming up, and I want to get your thoughts. And you can either defend Ed or throw some shade and hate on Ed, which is what I'm going to do. That's how I operate. So for the conference finals, AFC, NFC title games, I had Denver plus 4.5 was a winner. I had under 40.5 with Harvey's rushing yards. That was a winner. He had 37. I took over 35.5 with Trevion Henderson, our guy from Hopewell High School and the Ohio State Buckeyes. He got 5 yards. I'm very upset about the play calling there for the Pats and Vrabel and Josh McDaniels. And we'll get to that in a minute because you have Henderson involved with one of your picks. But you had Pats minus 4.5, lost close, 10-7. You won with Seattle minus 2.5. You won with under 42.5 in the Denver New England game. That was a shrewd pick by you. But here's Ed's picks. Ed went with over 45.5 Rams Seahawks. That's a winner. He lost on the Rams plus 2.5, and he took over 0.5 on Jarrett Stidham's touchdowns. I just don't know about that. And that came, I just thought that was a little bit of a questionable pick that Ed took last week. What do you think?
I definitely think it was questionable. I think he was the wild card, and I don't like to bet on wild cards.
Yeah. Speaking of wild cards, as he comes now with us on the show, we say good morning to the basketball coach of the Smithfield Packers, who are now on a one-game winning streak after beating the York Falcons. I apologize, not Peppermint Patties. But he had one after the game, Coach Ed Young. Good morning, sir. How are you? Greet Bruce Pearl as well, who you trail with me in the picks.
Hey, good morning to all. The coach greets all. Bruce, it's great to see you. By the way, the 10-time champion is a reference to Booker T, the wrestler Booker T, WCW. He's a five-time. And when he would say it in the ring, he'd look at his hand with the fingers spread. So, Bruce, when you do it, put both hands in front of your face, spread all 10 fingers. That's how you have to do it the correct way. Marty Jannetty and all those guys know that's how you have to do it.
I got you.
All the wrestling guys. All right, now, good deal.
Number two. Guys, keep hating on me all you want. Once you hear my picks today, it's a prop bet. It's a legal bet. You call it wild card, Bruce, whatever you want. Haters keep on hating. I'm going to win the playoffs.
All right, well, we'll see. All right, we'll put up a little music here, Bruce, and you can tell the audience a little bit of your thinking behind it if you don't mind here as we're ready for the picks. You ready, Bruce? You ready, Ed?
Yes.
Here we go. We're going to go with the picks for Super Bowl Sunday, Super Bowl 60 here on Cova Sports TV. All right, first up, it is Bruce's selections. He's the leader. Bruce, we're going to put him up on the screen here for you and tell the audience what you got here for this particular Super Sunday as we now have him on the screen. Here we go. You got the Pats, and you got some interesting props here. But I should say Pats on the spread, but Seahawks on the win.
That's correct. I think it's going to be a really close game. I think it'll be a low-scoring game. traditionally, everybody's a little conservative early. I did consider playing the under in the first quarter and first half, but I'd like these a little bit better. I did also go with Travion Henderson because I do think he's that wild card, Ed, and I take him. But I think if New England's going to be able to stay in the game or possibly win, they're going to need a big play or two out of him. So that's really the reason I went there. I know Drake May's actually only had 3 or 4 rushing touchdowns this year, but I believe he's also going to have to be able to run the football. You know, when Seattle can rush you with 4 guys, the quarterback's going to have to be able to run the football. And so I think he'll be scrambling some. He's tough to tackle back there. And ultimately, that's the reason I took that he may get a touchdown run.
I love it, Bruce. I actually had Henderson last week, but I like his receiving yards. So you got the combo plotted there with the rushing and receiving. And Drake May, to your credit here, this shows he does his research, Ed. The rushing last week for May, 65 yards rushing after 86 yards passing, and that snowy and the snow elements out there in Denver against the Broncos. So again, Bruce's picks: Pats plus 4.5, under 45.5, and his props over to 28.5 with Henderson's rushing and receiving and May's TD run. But he's got the Hawks 21-17, which is close to my score. But here's how we operate, Bruce, before we let you run here. I get to go first with the head up with Ed. You can judge these after we get done with them here. And I know Ed's going to give us a coin toss pick. He's going to give us a Gatorade pick. But I'm going to beat him to the punch here with my first selection before I get to my winner. I'm going to go with 4 today, and Ed can go with 4 like you have. So we have the bonus pick today. All right, Ed. And we misspelled Henderson, so we apologize about that on the screen. We'll get that fixed here in a moment. But my first pick, Ed, I'm going with the Gatorade bath. I did a lot of research on this. We'll put it up on the screen here. This shows you the Gatorade color after you win the Super Bowl. It's doused on the coach. So you see it up there on the screen here. We got this broken down, color coded here. You got orange, blue, yellow, green, purple, clear. Hasn't had red or pink in like well over a decade. You see the Eagles was green with Sirianni. Reed got purple. McVay got the blue, as did Tampa Bay with the beanie, Bruce Arians. It's going to be red or pink. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be red or pink. I talked to my guy. We've had Gatorade sponsor some of the show, Rehydrate, Replenish, Refuel, Gatorade with Dollar Dame Lillard. It's going to be red or pink. I'm certain of this. Go ahead, Ed.
So you've already picked what? Red, pink, or?
Well, the prop is technically, if you want to put shekels down, I think it's 10-1, red or pink. I'm telling you, it's gonna be red or pink. So watch whoever it's Mike Vrabel, not Mike Verbal, as the lady on the honors messed up. Oh my gosh, Mike Vrabel or Mike McDonald. One of them's gonna get red or pink when they win the Super Bowl. Watch and see.
No, if I'm doing a prop bet on the Gatorade color.
You don't have to. I'm just taking that as my first selection. You got 2 picks. Go ahead.
I'll jump in there for the fun of it for the Gatorade color, but I'm not going red or pink. You're definitely not going to see pink. You can bet the house on pink. That's not going to happen. I'm going to go yellow.
All right, you're going to go yellow.
Yeah, I'm going to go yellow.
You know what?
Though I have a feeling if Seattle wins, it'll be green because that's their main color.
Well, you have the yellow-green combination. You want to go with the yellow-green combo since I went with red-pink combo?
Yeah, let's go yellow-green. I think green's because I'm picking Seattle to win. What's the spread now? Minus
now 4.5, and the over/under is 45.5.
No, I'm gonna go Seattle minus 4.5. That's my 2 pick. And I get 2 more later.
Well, you just took yellow-green as your first selection. So
Okay.
Your second pick, are you going to go over/under here or spread? Well, at this point, it doesn't matter about copying each other. But go ahead. What's your next one?
I'll take that spread. I think Seattle wins it by at least a touchdown, if not 2 touchdowns.
I'm going to concur with you since we can copy for the Super Bowl round. 4.5, I'm going to take it. I thought about over/under, but I'm going to lay off that. Just leave it to you and Bruce here. I'm going to go another one here. Both teams to make a 33-yard field goal. You heard it right there. Both to make a 33-yard field goal. This is a game with field goals, multiple field goals. So give it to me to go with red or pink in the Gatorade and Seahawks minus 4.5. I got 1 more left. Ed, you got 2 more left. Go ahead.
I'm going to do first half under. First half under.
Do you know what the first half over/under is? Because I don't have it in front of me. I'm going to look it up while you talk.
I think I saw somewhere 21, but I could be wrong.
I think he's trying to snooker me, Bruce. What do you think?
I think he might be, but it's pretty close.
Yeah, it's 23.5, Ed.
Right, but that's okay. It's pretty close.
Yep, that's pretty close. Pretty close. 23.5. So actually, I should have gave it 21. You'd have a tougher time.
Yeah, it was 21 earlier, but yeah, give me that under first half.
That's a good pick by you, I think. All right, what's your last one?
And the last one, let me see. Anytime touchdown for what's the guy's name on Seattle, the 3-name receiver?
Jackson Smith and Jigba?
Yes.
I'm glad you didn't try to say his name like Drewski messed up the other day, because that was bad. We don't want to say what he said. So, all right, you're going to go with JSN anytime TD, which the odds are not great for, but we'll give it to you. You're going to go with the Seahawks -4.5, yellow green for the Gatorade, and under 23.5 for the first half. So those are your 4 picks. You did not take heads or tails. I'm surprised at that. My last pick, I'm going to go with another prop here, folks. I'm going with 3 props and just 1 game pick. And we'll get Ed's score pick, too, to go with this before we close it out. I'm going to go with Kenneth Walker. I like this one. I'm surprised the odds are like -120 for this, or 110. Kenneth Walker to have at least 5 yards rushing in every quarter. Every quarter for Kenneth Walker. I think he's going to be the MVP of the game. He's my pick since I saw this. We haven't had an MVP in the Super Bowl, as we brought up with Charean Williams, since Terrell Davis, and that's back in 97, 98. I'm going to go with Kenneth Walker to be the MVP, and I'm going to take the Seahawks to win this game 27-16. 27-16 is my score pick. And as we showed it earlier, the score pick that Bruce has got for this particular game, he has the Seahawks taking it 21-17. What's your score pick, Ed?
Give me 28. I would say 28-21 Seattle.
All right, you got an MVP?
MVP would be quarterback Darnold.
Okay, he's going to go with Darnold to be the MVP. How about you, Bruce? We're not going to count it towards your picks here, the 4, but you got an MVP, you got a winner for the MVP. You think it's a defensive guy or an offensive guy?
No, I think if I had to take an MVP based upon the fact I think Seattle's going to win, I'm going to take the quarterback, Sam Darnold.
I'll take Darnold. All right, there you go. All right, before we let you run, Bruce, your thoughts on our selections? Who's going to take the cake and the prize here for the playoffs? Because you got a 1-game lead on me. I know you want to hold off me and Ed here, but it's going to go down to the wire, perhaps.
Oh, I think it will. I think that I'm going to be 4-0, so I have to think I'll hold on.
All right, that's how champions think. 10-time champion, Bruce Pearl of the Virginia Beach Mustangs. Thanks for stopping by, my friend. I'm sure we'll run into you soon, and we'll get Ed straight, because I think his connections went out again on us. So you have a good Super Sunday. Have fun at your party, and I'm sure we'll talk to you down the road.
Thanks, Matt. I appreciate it. Ed, take care, my man. Bye now.
All right. Thank you, Bruce Pearl, with us here on 757 Sports Talk. I don't know if I think Ed's camera has frozen completely, because I see him still on my screen and I don't hear him at all. So that's going to do it for this episode of 757 Sports Talk. We thank all of you for tuning in. For the coach, Ed Young, I am Matthew Hatfield, and we will catch you next time right here on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe, and enjoy your Super Sunday wherever you are. Be safe. Have a great time. And we'll talk to you after a champion's been crowned in the National Football League. Adios, amigos.